They just took it all. What do you think about that?
He's pretty quiet.
That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. I know that's not the way it works. It's the way it should work, though. Why do I have to collect it, but she gets away scot-free? I paid my taxes. Did you? Did you? Or did you just give it to somebody to eventually give to somebody else? You're trusting them to pay it for you. But who really owes it? You do, lady. You owe it. You paid it. You owe it. You should be the one sending it to the government, not me.
Do you think that the reduction in weight and all the exercise...
Somebody said, who hurt you, bro?
I'm just
State
saying...
of Kansas did. That's who did.
Do you think the reduction in weight and whatnot is going to extend your life, like reduce the chance of the stroke?
You're fuzzy.
I probably was fuzzy all last time because you didn't check
shit.
mine.
I did check yours like 6 times.
Good right there. No, back a little bit. I can't tell if it's just the shit on your computer screen.
Are you sitting on pillows?
Screen. No, that's good. Did mine get kicked?
That's not important.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Well, last night we were sitting at dinner and I was like, I kept looking and I'm blind. So I'm like, but facial character, doppelganger? Maybe?
Yeah, I looked and they have those like reflective walls, right?
Yeah.
I caught your reflection over here. I'm like, that's Lucas.
Well, if I had looked, I didn't realize that was there until after y'all left. I could have seen like Brett if I had looked in that and I would have known it was, but. Don't get me in your shot. I don't want people to think I'm sitting that close to you. 4? Just 4 more.
You guys have a book schedule.
Yeah, we do.
That's his fault. So when he doesn't send out the calendar link, we have to go chasing people. They're like, hey, you want to record a podcast? No. And then he run. He has to tackle them. We drag them in by their feet and sit them down. And they're like, hey, so how about politics? And then that gets the conversation going. But when he sends out the calendar link, it fills up in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Just
and, I did leave open spaces, right? I did leave some open spaces.
They do because it didn't look like you did.
Well, I asked David, like, I don't know, maybe
I don't know how to work Calendly. I don't know how to work Calendly.
I didn't ask you to work Calendly. What did I say to you? Do you remember what I said to you?
No.
You don't remember what I said to you?
Not a clue.
I said, I don't need you to put it in Calendly. I need you to set me the dates and times you want to record.
Oh.
And all I asked you for was to send me that because, like, it's been busy and stressful.
I said Thursday, or I said Friday and Saturday. And so what does he do? He books Thursday, Friday, Saturday, too many.
And then Sunday.
And then some on Sunday.
I feel like Thursday was last minute, like you weren't prepared to do that.
No, he didn't want to do Thursday, and I didn't put it on the actual schedule. You'll have to scoot up to talk when you go to talk. I didn't actually put it on the schedule, so I left it for people who, like, we wanted to work in and get on, a recording, and I'm doing the same for Sunday. But Friday
it's
and
every
Saturday,
year because the slots fill up super fast. Yeah. And then last minute, randos will start calling and going, hey, can I get in for a recording? It's like, dude, we're booked.
They just want to hear you bitch about sales tax.
That's probably what it is. David, do you like sales tax?
No, I don't. It's fine. You know what? I'll take either or. If you're going to charge me income taxes, don't charge me sales tax. If you're going to charge me sales taxes, don't charge me income tax. Lots of states do that. There's no income tax in Florida. The sales tax is high, but I'm okay with that.
What's Pennsylvania?
Everything. They charge you everything.
Yeah.
I thought they were one or the other.
No. The Pennsylvania, get out of here. Texas, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I think Texas is no sales tax, but they have income, right?
I don't know. I don't keep up with it.
Florida is no income, but they have sales. And I think Tennessee's like 1% income, and the sales tax, like the base sales tax is like 3%.
Why do you know
it's
that?
really low. Because
he's researching to figure out where he's moving to.
Where am I moving to? I'm going to find the state. I think collectively they say Tennessee, if you make a certain amount of money, Tennessee is the best state to move to because you'll end up paying between the sales tax and income tax the least amount.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And David likes banjo music. So
I like bluegrass. It's good. It's good music. I like it.
you ever seen the movie Deliverance?
I have. That's Kentucky.
Well, I know. I'm just saying,
Okay,
like
well,
Kentucky kind of moved to Tennessee these days. You know, I'm just saying
Kentucky moved to Tennessee.
the those activities are prevalent. That's terrible. I'm gonna get hate for that.
You know, you say that, but I drove up through the mountains of Boone or whatever, driving through these like tiny little roads.
He shows up. Okay,
There's been
a
like
landslide.
this wide.
The main roads are all shut down.
All the main roads are shut down, and I got to go. And I'm driving like through driveways. These are people like driveways. The road's like this wide, and it's like mountain, and then just black on this side here. I don't know if there's a cliff or a house. No idea. The road's this wide, and I'm just driving through there, and I felt like I was gonna start hearing the banjos.
Well,
That's what
I
I
mean,
felt like.
here's the deal: is like if you had not waited until like having to come in at 3 a.m., right? That would have helped. And B, they at least put culverts in so you don't have to cross the creeks anymore.
I fly 5 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night.
That sounds miserable.
Well, it's because the prices are half of what they are if I fly at 11.
You know why that is?
And fewer people. I don't like to sit around people.
You know that's because the Blackhawks fly at 9 p.m. too. So just point that out.
I feel like I can't make this joke with the previous podcast, but it's Blackhawks and all female flight crews.
That was not an all female flight crew.
No, those were that was the Toronto incident.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It was not an all female flight crew.
It was a female pilot that had just started flying, and I think the other person.
No. Go. I'm not. Listen, I'm not going to let Dutch blow us up over this. Like Dutch will pull all of our funding if we don't watch it. But here's the deal: is like if you go back and watch the video and you see what happened and everything else. Like I'm sure there was some pilot error in there. The first officer did not have that much experience, but the left seat had a ton of experience, and I don't think that was the case.
I think the left seat was. Didn't she have a whole mess of complaints of being apathetic or not paying attention or falling asleep or being high or something?
No, those were. I don't think the left seat was a female. I think the left seat was a male, and the right seat was.
No, I think it was all female.
But either way, if you look, they didn't flare when they came in, and it was like really super duper heavy wind. Or maybe it wasn't heavy wind, but it was like it was blowing snow or whatever. But basically, they didn't flare when they came in, and she kind of like smacked it on the ground.
And then flipped over?
Yeah, it was because they hit a little too hard there. Just kind of
bounced? What are you talking about?
They landed.
I'm talking about the one where they flipped upside down
Okay, so
and then slid across.
Go watch the video.
Nobody died, right? Nobody died?
No, I haven't seen this one.
80 people.
The one in Toronto?
I
Yeah,
haven't seen it.
It was a Delta flight. It was an Envoy Air. So they come in and they land right at the beginning of the threshold of the runway.
Yeah.
And so when you land, you're supposed to flare. And like if there's a crosswind, they'll lean into the crosswind and they'll put one down and then roll into it and like lay it down. But they have to flare. So as they come down, they'll come down straight and then they flare up like this, put the front of the airplane up in the air, and then they slowly bring it in and gradually bring it to the ground. If you watch the video, they did not flare at all. And it was
Slam
almost
dunk.
they had a perfect all the way through. Like they followed the glide slope all the way through, and then it was like the plane just sunk. So
No, I didn't see
it was
that one.
probably that like
And then flipped over.
yeah. It broke the landing gear broke. That's what caused it to flip over.
But no one died.
No.
The landing gear broke.
the
Gravity
right side.
did not pull the plane down to the ground. It somehow lifted it up and flipped it over upside down.
Well, if you lose one landing gear, it's going to go right. It's going to turn the plane sideways, and then the plane's going to go swoop.
Did it lose any of the wings? Mm-hmm. Both of
Lost
them?
the right wing. Left wing was still on it.
You know which one I was thinking of?
What?
Where it was two females, and one of them was like had a complaint of poor landings. Was the Southwest flight where they had like they like missed the runway entirely, and then they skirted across in the ground.
Since we're working on getting canceled, there is one that I love so much, and it was the Asiana. I think it was Asiana 316 or something like that. Have you seen that?
Maybe.
Where an intern at the NTSB sent out the list of pilots to a local radio or news station, and it was the pilots' names were Wee Too Low, Bang Ding Ow, Something Wong.
Well, that's already been brought up.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, that's my favorite out of all of them. What? Something wrong. We too low.
I can't find it.
Bang ding ow.
I guess there were too many. There were too many. The one that keeps pulling up is. Did you see the one where the plane was landing and then at midway, and then another plane decided to like, hey, I need to cross the road real quick.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then it pulled up real quick because it was about to slam into. Yeah.
Hey, David. These people from the Wall Street Journal, super nice. They asked about having me on this panel they're doing, and I offered to get you involved. And they asked about your political views, and I told them, and they said no.
What did you say were my political views?
I just told them to watch the podcast.
I don't express them on the podcast, but Mike Allen keeps asking me to get on his podcast. I was going to say stupid podcast, but I would have felt bad saying that. So podcast.
Did you hear the video or did you hear the voice message he got about our podcast?
No.
Yeah, somebody sent him a voice message and like, Lucas and David are idiots. And changing the industry sucks. And Confessions of a Shop Owner is the best podcast.
That doesn't sound serious.
I'll send it to you. I thought it was funny.
I'll make it the intro of the show. You kidding me?
That's what I told him.
Anyway,
awesome.
he wants me on the podcast, but he doesn't understand that I will fully express my political views.
I think that'd be
all
awesome.
All of them. We'll start with religion.
Yeah.
I'll slide right into politics.
Right?
What's the other thing you're not supposed to talk about? Is it just religion and politics?
I think that's it.
That's it.
Religion, politics.
I mean, we could throw anything we want in there, but I think those are the two big ones.
Yeah. I'm just saying. He doesn't want me on there.
I think it'd be great. I mean, he's already got a ton of bad reviews, so.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. Go look it up on Apple.
All of our bad reviews are from Seth Thorson.
I can see that. No, he's boasting a 4.3 review score on
4.3
on
jeez.
Yeah, already on iTunes. I don't know what's up with that.
He's had Brian on. Like, is Brian on every episode?
Yeah, Brian's on every episode, unless he's recording in person.
Well, who's he pissing off?
I don't know.
Wait,
I
here's
think
the thing
it's
with
the
Mike.
Todd Hayes thing. I think it's the Todd Hayes
Is that
thing.
what it is?
Yeah.
No, Mike is like as milk toast as they come. He likes to think like he says spicy things. He doesn't. He says like he cracks jokes. So he'll spoof off whatever you're saying and then just exaggerate it to get a rise out of you. But he doesn't actually say anything, and definitely doesn't say anything spicy. He doesn't.
Man, I'm telling you what, that poor kid was so hurt by his brother that he just like.
I'm just saying, he doesn't say anything spicy.
He just can't help
Anyway,
it. You should go with him to a. You should go with him to a casino. What that you're not.
We're starting
You're
it now.
not doing it
I'm
correctly.
cutting all of the pilot talk out. I'm not getting canceled over that nonsense. I at least want to be accurate when I say the stuff that I shouldn't be saying.
Have you ever been accurate?
Yeah, I try to be as accurate as I can.
I don't know. You are pretty smart. I'll give you that. Dan, what's up?
Same old, man.
Introduce your friend.
Well, this is Mason out of
Mason.
Missouri.
Mason from Missouri.
Yeah.
Where in Missouri?
Danville, Missouri.
Where is that?
It's halfway between Columbia and St. Louis.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. Oh, is it right on 70?
Yeah, we're right on 70.
Yeah. So if you've never driven from Kansas City to St. Louis, it is the most miserable drive in history. It is awful.
I've done
The
it.
billboards are terrible. There's nothing to stop. You stop in Booneville. Isn't it Booneville? Yeah, Booneville. Because there's a Wendy's and an Arby's. That's why you stop there. And then there's Columbia, but you keep driving through there because they're crazy there. And then after that, there's Kingdom
City.
Kingdom City. Yeah, you stop in Kingdom City. I got married in Herman.
Mm-hmm.
Herman's beautiful. It is like It is the prettiest thing in the whole wide world.
The hidden gem.
In the middle of BFE, Missouri. It is the craziest thing.
If you back up 5 miles, that's Danville. Right there.
I live really close. I can see from my window. It's
Yep.
really pretty from my window. Not where I live, though. It's all flat and gross in Missouri. But it's really pretty over there. Actually, we drive like, what is it, Highway 100? South towards 44.
Right.
So like you're heading towards like Six Flags or whatever. That whole drive, gorgeous. It is the prettiest. Just rolling hills, woods, little towns, cute little towns. I talk trash on Missouri, but it's really nice. Missouri's nice. Good people in Missouri. I like Missouri a lot. Not St. Louis. So St. Louis is trash. St. Louis could.
Do you agree?
Could sink
St.
into
Louis
the.
sucks.
St. Louis is the worst city ever. It is awful.
A lot of people were complaining that they got stuck in St. Louis for some reason. Like they got routed into St. Louis.
Oh, on the way here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That airport sucks. I don't. They built it. They're brand new. The Kansas City airport. Have you been to the Kansas City airport?
I don't think so.
This new one. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I like it. It's nice.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a really nice airport. It's big. It's wide.
I don't care for the rental car shuttle situation. That sucks.
Oh, they have to drive to the offsite thing or whatever. Yeah.
Well, like where they put it.
Well, that's where it's always been.
No, I'm saying where they put the shuttles. Like
Oh,
before you
like,
walked out and you just walked across the street and then you got on the bus. This one, like it's way over there and like they put it in this wind tunnel like thing where the wind just blows through. So you're freezing to death.
But the St. Louis airport is fairly new as well. Like they just built it maybe 10, 15 years ago or whatever. It's trash. It's the worst airport.
What's trash about it?
It's just one long hallway. Everybody gets packed in there. It's always packed. Just crazy amount of people. You can't even walk through there.
How often do you fly out of St. Louis?
I'm on Southwest, dude. If I'm not going to Midway, I'm going to St. Louis. That's where I fly into. St. Louis or Midway. That's it.
I didn't know that.
Unless I'm going west.
I
Then
thought
it's
you
Las Vegas.
always went out of MCI.
No, I do. But MCI, St. Louis, Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
Or MCI, Chicago, somewhere else.
Yeah. Hey, listen. The food in Chicago is good enough for me to get stuck there. I don't care.
Amen.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Not the airport, though.
Yeah, the airport's got really good food.
Yeah.
DFW's got some good food in it too. The airports that have good food, you're guaranteed to get stuck at.
I had a great pulled pork sandwich at DFW yesterday on the way in. Yeah.
So there's this little like Papa Do's or whatever, like the seafood place. And so they have like the one that's downstairs is like real deal restaurant, not like the restaurants that are and I think it's in C, but it's not like the typical airport restaurants. And dude, the food is so good. But they've got this like salmon salad that is like to die for.
Salmon salad.
Yeah.
We don't
Grilled
make
salmon.
friends. We don't make friends with salad, dear.
I do. Tell us the story because like something weird happened here. You weren't coming and then you were coming and then Mason's here. What in the hell happened?
I forget what group it was in. I think maybe Hangout or something.
Yeah, it was one
There's
of
only
the
one
Facebook
group.
groups.
Dan, there's only one group.
Well, there's too many.
No, there's only one group. And then there's a bunch of
Wannabes.
copycats. Yeah,
Yeah.
wannabes.
Yeah, so he was asking a question or something about,
Yeah.
I forget what it was, needing help about something. So I messaged
Was
him.
it one of the ones that everybody had to stop and say, "Is this a troll post or is this a real post?"
No, it was a real one. It was before the trolling started. It was December, actually. So I reached out to him over Messenger, and he had some struggles he was going through, and I just gave him a few pointers,
Yeah.
and he put some of that stuff into effect immediately, January 1.
All right.
And he liked what he saw, and I reached out to him about coming out here.
What was the advice?
He's just low on some stuff, and we started working and getting some of his prices raised up and whatnot.
So raise the prices, follow the 300% rule.
No, we
That's
didn't-
it, folks. That's all the
we did
advice
not-
you need.
We did
We'll
not,
see you
we didn't
later.
we didn't even discuss the 300% rule rate yet.
Oh, hey,
You know?
so the other half of the business that you need to fix, 300% rule will fix that. You're welcome.
Don't listen to him.
Yeah.
But
All
yeah,
right,
so
what are you talking about? Don't tell him that. He doesn't know. Do you know the 300% rule? It's because you don't listen to the podcast. See, I can tell.
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
other's,
well, he never knew about.
I don't
the
like him.
podcast,
Say
I don't
him
think.
out.
Yeah, so just little changes, right? And he started seeing things that he liked, and I asked about bringing him out here.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'll get you here." you drive there, I'll get you in here.
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
That's pretty awesome. So, pretty interesting because like people message all the time and they say, hey, like the podcast is doing great things. I'm like, no, the podcast is not doing great things. It's like all the people associated with the podcast and all the little people that, and like, so you learn and then he learns and then he teaches somebody else. And like, that's how we improve our industry overall. And we talk to a lot of people who are in your spot, right? Like it didn't take much to start turning things around. And so that little change you encouraged him to make creates a hunger to learn more and to do more. So what classes are we taking?
It's a lot of financial classes.
Okay.
I don't know what they all are offhand, but it's a lot of financial things, profit loss deals. I just did one that was a bay efficiency thing. A lot of very informative stuff.
So what's your takeaway so far with these classes you've been in compared to how you were operating, 4 or 5 months ago to now? What's your big takeaway?
Good numbers in equals good numbers out.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing. You really got to watch your numbers. You got to know what your goal is and what it takes to work towards that goal, and so on and so forth. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to be X per hour and I'm going to mark up by so much. You have to, there's a whole formula and everything you have to follow to get there.
For sure. And so like, are you one of the shops that did exactly that? Like you just said, hey, I want a shop, so I'm going to start a shop. Tell us the story of how you got into it.
So when I was 21, this was 2016,
Okay.
I was working just a job in a factory and I was tired of it. And I realized that one of the local shops, the old man retired 2-3 years before that. I seen that, so I went and talked to him the next day, and he said he'd lease the shop. The lease was like $600 a month or something, and I went ahead and did that. It's a town of like 30, 40 people at most, but we're right on the highway. So I did that. I didn't know anything. I was supposed to be like a third-generation carpenter, and here I am trying to be a mechanic. So I went in, 21, didn't know much. Went in, only did the jobs I was comfortable with, and I sat there and did a lot of long 12, 14-hour days, and until, a year and a half later, whatever, I'm seeing $12, $14, $16,000 a month, and so on and so forth, and, it was really great. And then, I was young and stupid, 22, 23, whatever it was, and another old man came in that had a very nice new shop in town, and he's retiring, and says, would you like to lease that one? So I thought, well, I can do both, and I couldn't do both. So I closed the doors at the very end of 2018.
What caused that? Tell me what happened.
For one, just trying to do two things at once. With the first shop, not even completely 100%, with what I know now, if I could go back, there's so many numbers that I didn't know that, like I said, good info in equals good info out. And I just didn't know any of that. I should have worked on the efficiency. I should have worked on this, that, and the other way before I even dreamed of opening another shop.
Yeah.
And then I had the two locations, and it was just one thing after another. At the shop in Danville, they closed my overpass, so I didn't have any access to 70. Most of my customers, which were coming from Williamsburg, which is on the other side of the interstate, couldn't get to me anymore. And then my mechanic that was working at the Danville shop, he got in a motorcycle accident, and there's just seems like one thing after another. And I was at the shop in Montgomery, and I just started to get burned out and everything, and the numbers weren't the same as they were at the Danville shop. And I finally just said, you know what, I've had enough, and I went and worked a normal job for a couple years. And then after that, I decided I was done with the normal job, and I just put the tools I had in my truck, and I started a mobile service. And I worked my Google reviews and everything. I went and I talked to the tow truck companies. I talked to Love's. I talked to, all the truck stops, this, that, and the other, and said, hey, look, I'm doing a mobile service, so on and so forth. Here's my card. If you get someone that's broke down, has a flat tire, just call me, let me know, and I'll come out there and I'll fix it right there on the spot. Yeah. And there for a year and a half, something like that. I do alternators, starters, ball joints. Well, I guess not ball joints, but, wheel bearings, whatever I had to do. Yeah. If someone was broke down, I go out there and fix it on the side of the road. And it got me to where I could finally go ahead and open another shop again. And I did catch a really big break on the shop, It's a commercial building that's been in the family since I think it was built in '69 by my grandpa.
Oh, wow.
And he did it as a cabinet shop, and I went into the back to the cabinet shop part, and I remodeled that into a shop. Now I have a 2-post lift and a scissor lift and just an open bay for inspections and stuff. So it's a 3-bay shop, and I did that in March of 23. Last year we did 338,000, no profit, but we brought in 338,000, and then this year I hope to do that again, but profit this time.
Yeah, for sure. Dan, how close is he to your operational style? Because one of the conversations we've all had in the past is like your operation runs very differently than my operation because you're tire focused and you have a different concept out of your business. How close is he to your operational style? Is he more mechanical? How have you seen the advice play over between the two?
From what I gathered by talking with him, and we don't talk a lot because I don't think he watches his phone as much as I do. But with that being said, I think our operations are probably pretty different.
Yeah.
Because he still does mobile, and he has a storefront, and I believe you're the only employee, correct?
Yes.
Right now, so he's by himself. I think he just wants to fix people's vehicles.
Yeah.
And he wants to make profit doing it.
Yeah.
So in that regards, we're all the same.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But I would say our styles are probably
models
different.
are very different. So it's interesting because I've got two people. I've got a lot of people that I talk to on a regular basis, so I don't want anybody to take offense and think that I'm not saying I'm helping them too. But I've got two like local people that I work with pretty closely and good friends of mine. One of them, he goes out and he starts this shop. He buys it and he goes and he staffs it way up. And then like a year later, he's like, dude, I'm going to fire everybody that works for me. This sucks. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I can't trust any of the work they're doing. I don't have any systems. I don't have any processes in place. And so he grew and then he reverted, right? And so kind of like, you grew. He did the same thing. He didn't have everything in place with it at the same time. And then I've got another friend who's very much like you. And what's interesting about the advice and the work that we've done together, his name's John, and he's running this shop. And we got him Shop-Ware and we got everything set up and I showed him how to do everything. And he would do it for about a week, 2 weeks, and then he'd feel bad for his neighbor. His neighbor would bring the truck in and he'd go and he'd fix that truck for half of what he should have fixed it for. And the next thing you know, he's calling me saying, dude, I ain't got no money. And we would talk through it and we would see it happen over and over again. So what I'm seeing happen with a lot of these guys is that it doesn't stick the first couple of times.
Yeah.
Right? They got to go through the fire 3 or 4 times before they feel that pain enough to say, like, I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And that's what I see the most is that shops will try and reinvent the wheel. They'll say, hey, I can do this better. I can make this cheaper. I can do this, that, or the other. And what do they do? Like, you don't need
I
to
don't think
reinvent the wheel.
anybody's trying to reinvent the wheel. You're high. Ain't nobody trying. Everybody thinks it shouldn't be that expensive. And then they get into business and they price it out how they think it should.
Yeah,
it should be. And
they
then
don't
they go,
use the numbers.
well, yeah, they don't calculate anything. So they're like, oh, it should be, I don't know, $250 to do this job. And they don't realize, like, hey, I didn't make any money at $250. I don't know what's wrong.
Well,
I
that's
need
what
to
I'm
do
saying.
more
They're
of them.
trying to reinvent the wheel. They're saying this should be cheaper. I don't think they should charge that much.
That's not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, it's not.
I think the nice thing Mason has on his side, from what I gather, he has a good opportunity with the real estate.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think he pays minimal monthly lease payment or something. And I can relate to that
For sure.
a lot. So I think for him, fundamentally, we just need to get the numbers.
Yeah, the
game in his
basics of
head,
operation.
The basics.
Yeah.
And incremental steps, because he had concerns like a lot of shop owners do when you start talking to him about what they're charging, and then they throw back other shops are charging this. Well, Mason was no different. He did that too. And I'm like, well, we're going to put that out to pasture
Right, because it doesn't matter.
we have to make profit.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing, like, everybody thinks they know what the other shop's charging.
yeah,
You don't know what the other shop's charging. You just know,
And-
like, I called or I saw this invoice. Like, okay, are they still in business? Yeah. So you don't know what their overhead looks like.
Yeah.
You don't know that everything's paid off and they haven't paid a flipping bill other than the electricity for the last 20 years, and that the guy lives in a trailer. And so his overhead is nothing.
Yeah.
And so he can charge $50 an hour because he's paying his guy who's probably getting paid cash under the table, $15 or whatever, right? So the guy's not even operating correctly, and he doesn't have any overhead, and that's why he's so cheap.
I'm gonna pick on poor Andrew. Last night, the guy that we were having dinner with is poor Andrew says he's like 105.
Did you not have dinner with him? Did you not invite him over and say, hey, let's sit together and have a whole conversation?
I text him as soon as I saw him sitting there. It took him forever to answer. He's an old man, and he
just said he plays on his phone all day.
I
We just
know,
said
but
that.
he was eating. He didn't have his glasses
I was
on,
being
so he
a
couldn't see the
respectful dinner date for Brett. I was looking into Brett's eyes, listening to all the sweet nothings he was telling me. I had to be polite.
Did he smell like cigarette smoke?
He didn't.
No, he's off the cigarettes.
didn't.
He's completely off the cigarettes. Yeah.
So Andrew last night, he's like, I'm 105 an hour, and I'm like, okay. Question. Why?
That was expertly calculated to the 5.
Right? Yeah. And he said,
It wasn't I didn't come up with $105.11 to exactly hit this certain number. This is just 105.
well, so we, as we're talking about it, I said, like, how'd you come up with this? And he's like, well, I know some other shop owners in town, and I'm definitely charging more than everybody else. And Brett walked over, and Brett's like, bro, you ain't charging more than everybody else. I promise. Like, I'm your neighbor, bro. Like, I promise you're not. And then, throughout the night, we're having these conversations, and it's just neat to see that perspective kind of unwind. And as we talk about it, we were talking about classes, and he said, well, I decided I don't really want to go to that class. And I said, why not? And he said, because my coach keeps talking about that subject, and I'm tired of hearing about it. I said, that probably means that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
What class was it?
I don't know. You didn't say. Well, I do. I'm not going to say because I don't want to make Laura Lee mad at me and make her come in here and kick my ass. So it's her class.
Oh, I didn't want to go to her class. Yeah. So you are you going to keep the mobile thing?
If I do, it won't be for a whole lot longer. Eventually, I'm going to switch to just doing the shop. But right now, the mobile thing definitely substitute my personal income. It pays all my personal bills at home and everything. And anything left over goes back to the shop. And that way, I don't have to steal from the shop account to pay my own electric and so on and so forth. But I do plan to stop doing that eventually.
You have wife, kids?
I have a wife.
No kids?
No kids.
So what do you think, like just right off the top of your head, what do you think the top amount of revenue that a 3-bay shop could make is? Like if you were to just throw a number out there, how much money do you think you could make a month?
He needs at least another 2 posts. He has one.
You went over this in your first class, so you should have this answer right on top of your head.
Yeah. I came up with $1 million.
Yeah.
For I guess that was a year, maybe, I think. So
I can tell you that I did $125 a month with 3 bays. Right. And so like what would you have thought 6 months ago though?
6 months ago, I don't know, 40, 50,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's a perspective thing. Mm-hmm. And I think it feels like a big number to you. But then when you calculate all the bills and you put everything on paper, it is not a very big number at all.
Do you think that having or keeping the mobile business is maybe hindering your ability to maximize the brick and mortar?
When I'm by myself, sometimes yes. Sometimes the shop, like right now especially, the shop is so slow that it needs the mobile service to help substitute some of the business. But, when both things are busy, it definitely hinders the shop.
Yeah.
100%.
So, like, as far as marketing goes, what are you doing to drive the business to the brick and mortar?
I'm on Facebook a lot for we have a couple of Facebook groups for the local community. I post on there 2 or 3 times a week. And we do a lot of state inspections. We get a lot of business from that.
Yeah.
What? I'm just saying.
You want to be condescending, go ahead.
To you.
Well, sure, go ahead.
I did it earlier. I don't want to do it twice in one podcast.
I guess the first question I have about that, Google My Business. Mm-hmm. Are you set up on Google?
Yeah,
or
he
you
said he was working the Google on.
I've got
when he
the
did
Google
mobile
reviews. I got a page on Google. I don't do Google ads, but I'm on Google and Google Maps and all that, this, that, and the other.
Right. Mm-hmm. So how many cars are we seeing in the shop a week right now?
I don't know, maybe 20 to 30, including all of my inspections, tire repairs, and so on and so forth. On probably a really good week.
You're doing 20 to 30 by yourself?
Yeah.
In the brick and mortar?
Mm-hmm. That's just like state inspections.
And you're saying that's slow?
Yeah. Because it's just state inspections. It only pays like $12 a
300%.
Okay, let's fix this real quick. So when the car comes in, every car... What?
Dan's going to shoot us both.
No,
he doesn't like the 300% rule.
I don't like the full 300% rule.
What
time?
Okay, well, hold on.
There's time it's not.
You're not selling tires, right?
Yep.
It's different if you're a tire shop.
No, he sells tires, but
I know, but it's different if you're a tire shop. Like if you're a tire shop, I understand you're not gonna pull the car in and do this whole thing when they pull up and they're like, hey, I need this tire patched. It's like, okay, well, I get it. You don't want, because they come into my shop and they're like, I just need a tire patch. It's like, okay, well, it's 2 to 3 hours.
I'll have you know that I'm now 60-40 service heavy. Thank you very much.
Well, good.
Which is where I wanted to get to.
I'm just saying that I can understand if they see you as a tire shop and they run, that you pull up, you just want a tire patch, and you want to go through this whole rigmarole, they're going to get upset. I understand that.
Yep.
So you're going to be like, okay, I'm just going to patch a tire and you're going to be on the road, especially if they're just driving through. That makes sense. But if they're there for a state inspection, completely different conversation. Now, at this point, you're going to follow the 300% rule in that the car gets pulled in. You're going to explain to them, hey, we're going to do a full inspection on this vehicle for safety and reliability concerns, okay? To make sure that the car is okay and you don't pull out of here and die. Say it like that too. And so then you're going to go in and you're going to do some kind of inspection. Now, easiest thing to do is get a good inspection software or use a great SMS that has one built in.
What are you using right now?
The books that they give us, that the state gives us.
But I mean, I'm saying like
for your shop
management
system.
Oh, I use Auto Labor Expert.
Okay.
It's cheap and
Yeah.
Okay, so I plan to switch to something else, but that's why I use
Shop-Ware.
You do Shop-Ware, right?
No, I'm tech.
Why'd you have him on?
Because I'm pretty.
Yeah, no, it's not even that.
okay.
It's that like I kind of feel bad for the guy, right? He's a little slow.
Yeah, he's
Still
from
using-
Ohio. They get confused in Ohio. There's something in the water. It's that East Palestine thing that happened.
I'm not that far over.
And poor Enright was like wafted. All that chemical was just in the water, and he was breathing it in. He's like, I'm going to make a decision today. I'm going to buy TechMetric. Brain cells are all dying. And
No,
stuff.
we had a conversation about getting him onto a different shop management system.
Yeah.
That'll have to happen.
Yeah, for
Sooner
sure.
or later.
Definitely.
Shop-Ware. Anyway, so it's not because we're sponsored by them.
Because it's the best shop management software.
Yes, that's why we wanted to get sponsored by them. Somebody was confused by that in the comment section at one point. Anyway, was that on YouTube? Quit looking at your phone. You looking at your junk or your phone?
I was looking at the text message I just got.
Right.
My junk's not that far out there, bro.
What's that reel that I sent you?
Which one?
That last one?
400 a day.
We get so sidetracked so easily, especially David.
The reels are all penis jokes. That's all they are. They're just 400 penis jokes. He sends me 400 penis jokes. I send him 400 penis jokes. That's it. That's the extent of our communication.
My sister got her ashes on the other day, right? And she made a post with a diagram of different shapes and what they might mean. And I swear to God, hers looked like a penis. I said, Kathy, yours looks like a phallic symbol. She did not respond to that at all.
Now, if I were a priest, I'd be like, whoop, pop, pop, next, whoop, pop, pop, next. Anyway,
300% rule. Let's get
300%. So you're going to explain to them, you're going to do a full inspection on the vehicle. Mm-hmm. I don't charge for them. Probably shouldn't. If you can try in about 20 years when you're well established and you're just old and grumpy and you're like, I don't do anything without charging. Brr, brr, brr. And you want to charge, you can. But for right now, don't charge. And say, hey, I do it as a courtesy. No charge to you. You say it like that. It's not free. It's a courtesy, no charge to you. It still costs me money, time and energy, right? And so you do the inspection. You want a good, thorough inspection. You can do it on paper. You don't have to have the software. Software makes it super easy. It does differentiate you and adds value to it because you can take lots of pictures and you can show a whole report and this whole thing, right? And then the next step is to then estimate it all out.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have to buy anything. You tell them, hey, everything that we see, we're going to estimate out just so you understand the current condition of the vehicle.
That's very important. That part's very
important. You don't have to buy everything, but you will probably need to know. So you then estimate everything out. That's the second of the 300% rule. So the first 100% of vehicles get inspected, 100% of the inspection findings get estimated, and then the last part is you present the entire estimate. Mm-hmm. You don't kind of estimate it and then just tell them, well, it's just the ball joint needs to be repaired, nothing else, and probably do an oil change, none of that garbage. You show them the entire estimate and you say, there you go. That's the current condition of the vehicle. Do you have any questions? And that's it. I don't call. I just send them the links. Everything's done by text. Again, I don't call.
Yeah, they can approve online, decline online. And so you bring up that doesn't work for everything and there's conditions to that. I think that's right. And, Dutch always used to fuss at me because I was so hard about the 300% rule. But one of the things with the 300% rule that I do in my shop is I'm going to call them and I'm going to talk to them when they first come in. I'm going to explain to them, hey, I'm going to send this over to you. But I'm also going to understand what they're using the vehicle for, right? And so then I use that data to help them make qualified and informed decisions about where we're going with this car. And so if I come back and the car's rusted out and it's not worth fixing, that is information they need. Right? Especially if they're telling me, hey, I'm going to give this to my daughter who's going to college, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so those are important ways that we help. And I think it's important to recognize, when I was in your shoes and I was just kind of starting out, it seemed like the focus was fixing the car because I was in the back of the shop all the time. And so my focus was always fix the car, fix the car, fix the car, right? I never realized that I had to be an advocate for the client. My job was really to inform them and make sure they had the information they needed to make qualified decisions about their car, right?
Right.
So that's more of my job than just fixing the car, making sure they're in a safe and reliable automobile and providing them with information. And so I think that that's a big differentiating factor when we look at this and we think about, hey, I'm fixing cars. No, that car is a missile going down the road. If the wheel comes off of it and it slams into somebody else and kills somebody, right? That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And so I think that we have a much bigger obligation than we recognize, and we don't like to talk about that, right? But a lot of these young shop owners or these guys who are just starting out, they're still so far down in the trenches, they can't see that, right? Then you're on the front counter for a little bit, and you understand how much of an emotional situation car repair is or a breakdown is for somebody. You understand what a situation it is for your wife to be broke down in a mall parking lot at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever it is. That becomes a much bigger deal, right? And we put so much focus on the car. The car seems like the biggest part of the equation. The customer is the biggest part of the equation.
Right.
Fixing the car is the easy part. Right.
Now here's the thing. Like, just do the numbers. If you're doing 20 cars a day and you're inspecting them all, one, it's going to be really hard for you to do 20 cars a day. You're going to be like moving because you have to do the inspection and then the estimate and then present. And you try to do that as efficiently as possible because you don't want to hold cars over and over and over again because you're not getting to them. So you got to start the inspections early. You got to start setting timers as to, I'm going to get the inspection done by this time. I'm going to have the estimates. I'm going to block this time out for the estimates. And then I'm going to get them all presented around lunchtime. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I can spend the rest of the day working on whatever I get sold. But those 20 cars are not going to be $100 per car. They're now going to be $500 per car. Now it's $10,000 weeks, you by yourself.
Yep.
And the shop's doing $520,000 a year.
Yeah.
By yourself.
Exactly.
And now, what's the mobile business going to bring?
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just slapped $190,000 in sales on existing business. You're not getting any more cars. Does that make sense? You're just maximizing what you got coming in already.
We just did a review of the parts tech industry study or the industry report, right? And the average per technician car count a day was 2.15, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Only 2 cars, right? So when you think about that, like, and you say that to a lot of shop owners, and they're like, 2 cars a day per tech? Now, for you, that would be very different.
Yeah.
Right? That would be a completely different thing. In tire stores, like, I envy you guys because you boys know how to make some money and make some money quick, and you know how to do it in a big way. Like, I've learned my lesson. I'm not ever saying tires don't make money ever again. But, like, that's a very different equation for you guys. But for you, by yourself, that's a huge equation. When I was working by myself, I did that originally. And then I got down to where I worked on 1 car per day, right? Now, when I was in the shop, I ended up getting to the point that I raised my labor rate and my parts sky high. Why? Because I had more demand than I did supply. And so I was able to go to these clients. And why did they want to come to me? Because I was the guy who was talking to them, who was also working on the car, and I was providing a very customized service. And they knew that I was doing what was best for them. Right? So I'm providing a boutique service. I'm not providing what everybody else is providing. I shouldn't be charging so much less than everybody else because it's me working on the car and speaking to you. Right?
Right.
That's worth something. And so I got down to where I was 1 car per day. And at the time, I want to say that we were doing about a $1,500 or $1,600 ARO. Now, let's be real. You ain't going to live like that for long, right? Because that's going to wear you out. And eventually, you want to be able to where you can take a vacation where you can go do some other things in life. And if you put all of your focus on you being the core of this business, one day you'll turn around and look and say, I can't go anywhere. I can't go eat with my wife. I can't do anything. I can't have a life outside of this. And that's when the realization hits that you have a job, not a business.
I had that realization probably 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I was the face of the business. I was there, and now I'm in the process of changing that. Right. But I think Mason's in a good, unique position because I don't believe, from what the little bit of survey I did in his market, I don't think there's another shop out there that can potentially provide the type of experience that we all talk about. Yeah. And I think if he dives in and does this, I think he's got a lot of good future ahead of him.
I agree. I agree.
So we're not in an inspection state. I feel like inspection states just play into the 300% rule perfectly. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
They could, but most shops are like his.
Yeah.
They don't do anything with it. Yeah, they don't inspect the car.
I mean, it's there for that, right? It's there for a major safety inspection. Emissions, tires.
Well, so they'll do the bare minimum, check it, and then either pass it or fail it or whatever. But they don't do a full that's just automatic car count.
Yeah.
It's easy car count. It's state mandated car count.
Yep.
Like we don't have it in Kansas either, and it's sort of a crutch for the shops in Missouri because they're forced. They have to go to the shop. Where in Kansas, like they go to the shop when the wheel falls off.
Yeah. The problem I see is that shop owners, one of the big conversations in North Carolina is it's 1360, right, for a safety, and it's like I'm not making any money on this. This is terrible. And it's the opportunity.
What are you talking about? 1360. That's awesome. To get any money out of an inspection.
but they're talking about raising it to 23 or 24 or something like that.
But, what difference does it make?
But I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying is like if you do a thorough job, but instead they look at it as a thorn in their side, just get it out.
That is so idiotic.
I know, right?
I don't understand.
Well, people. But I mean, that comes from being so ingrained in the business and so deep in the business, working in the business.
No, that's somebody that's never struggled to get car count. Like, if you ever struggle to get car count, where you're just fighting tooth and nail to get a car that day so you can pay your flipping bills, and that one car doesn't buy shit, and you're like, oh crap, what am I going to do now? Because you don't have 50 other cars lined up behind you. Trust me, you'd be happy to get to be getting $1,250 to do state inspections all day long and just see a line of cars sitting outside. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Idiots.
I don't know that state inspections fix car count, though.
I get a lot of people that just go home and do it themselves. I'll say, look, you got to have this, this, and this before I'll pass it. And they'll bring it in next week and just do it on their own. And that's probably half the people that I do inspections on.
I think that is communicating, right?
Yeah, that's the way you present it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then B, I think the other side of that is that's probably clientele that you have right now.
Yeah.
And they're coming to you because you're really cheap.
Yeah.
Right? And so once it is a really scary process to start phasing those people out.
Yeah.
And what you find is it when you're that low, like 10% of your clients will cause 80% of your problems, right? When you're that low, the 10% is the entire population of your clients, and you need to get rid of them, and that sort of sucks, right? And so my problem was I built a whole business around them, right? And I just kept trucking right along, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to charge this, and I'm going to be really cheap, and I'm going to do this, this, and this. But I built a whole database of clients. It's like saying I'm going to work with one fleet to supply my entire business, and then one day that fleet goes out of business. Shit, this sucks.
And here's the other thing too. Like you're just looking at the Missouri inspection thing. If you do a full inspection on the vehicle, there are plenty of items on that you're going to find wrong with the vehicle that the vehicle needs that they have no business touching. I mean, just something as simple as a brake fluid exchange. You could have done it on every car on the road in 1998, but now, unless you've got a pressurized brake bleeder to put pressure on the master cylinder, you ain't going to get any fluid coming out of the bleeders, right? Or you're just going to mess it up and introduce air, and you'll never get the air out of the system. They can't do that at home. Now, you tell them, hey, this needs fluid exchange, should be done every 30,000 miles. Looks like you've never done it. We recommend it. It's $160 or whatever. And they go, I can do that at home. It's like, well, just so you know, you gotta have 50 psi pressure at the master cylinder before you get any fluid out of the wheels. You can't get your buddy pumping. It's not gonna work that way. Oh, I didn't know that. Of course you don't. An idiot. Anyway, we can do that for you. It's $160. You're gonna be able to sell something to even the ones that are. I'm gonna do it at home because it's ball joints, and everybody thinks they can do ball joints. Okay, fine, whatever. If you really want to stick it to them, you go back and hit it with a torque wrench and go, hey, we found 7 bolts loose on your ball joint job. Good job. That's if you want to be spiteful. I like to do that. Whatever. But
rub it in.
Yeah, rub it in. Especially if it's the guy who did the work and the wife standing right there. Then you go, hey, we found 7 bolts loose on your car. You almost had it, buddy. Good job. What? Yeah, those bolts could have come loose and you could have died. Anyway, we caught them for you.
No, you walk
You're welcome.
You walk in and you say, hey, man, your last mechanic was a real dumbass.
And back to the communication thing. if you're literally saying you need to have these done before I pass you, it's got to be presented differently, right? So and it'll all go back to your inspection. So this is what we found today. This is what it's going to cost, and whatever the case may be.
Yeah, to take care of all of it, it's $22.58 or whatever.
Right. Just change your verbiage.
And so, especially if you've not already made an estimate for those things, if you go back to them and say, "Hey, it needs this," and I got to have this before I can pass it, and that's the end of the conversation, and you didn't have the estimate, then you know what's going to happen. They don't even think that you do that work. They think all you do is inspect the car, right? Yeah. So what do? They pick it up and go somewhere else because they don't understand that's what we do next. Right. And so like our system, it's set up to where we build estimates for each one of those recommendations and we send it over to them. And then they go to the website, we send them a link, they click on it, and it's like, hey, you need this. And so it documents you need this to pass inspection, you need this to pass inspection. This is a safety issue. This is whatever it is down the list in a prioritized fashion. And they click approve or decline what they do or don't want to do. Now, beyond just the aspect of increasing your revenue, there is a liability component to this that's pretty important. And that is that I told that client it had an issue, and they, not me, they said they did not want to do that. I gave them an estimate to correct the concern, and they said no. And here's the proof that they said no, not me. They said no, right? Because they declined the job. Now, why is that important? You go back to New Hampshire in 2008.
It was Vermont.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Vermont.
Well, there was one in New Hampshire too, wasn't there?
I don't think Vermont, New Hampshire.
One was Vermont and one was New Hampshire. There was the limo and then there was the old lady in the car.
The old lady was Vermont.
Old lady in a car goes in to get a tire repair. Shop repairs the tire, sends her down the road. Later, brake line blows out. And guess who gets charged with negligent homicide, right?
Right.
The shop.
Yeah.
Right? And the tech actually ended up, I want to say the tech ended up going to jail over it. Well, why? Well, because he had a duty to protect that client by inspecting and making sure the car was safe and reliable. Rick White was my first business coach. And one of the things that he said that really stuck with me is he said, there are unspoken expectations here. So what do you mean? He said, every car you touch, you're putting your Good Housekeeping seal of approval on it before it drives out of the parking lot. And I don't care whether they said they expect you to do that or not, because they do. If you go to the doctor, would you expect him to tell you if you had cancer behind your ear? Right? You would hope he would, so you can catch it and get it dealt with before it turns into something much worse. You would hope he would tell you about that.
Right.
How would you feel if he didn't?
Well, I'd be upset.
Right, absolutely. But see, we look at it completely differently in this industry, because a lot of techs and a lot of owners say, well, I don't want to rip nobody off. I'd drive that thing like that. Buddy, I hate to tell you, if you'd seen some of the cars I'd driven, I'm surprised I'm still alive at this point. Like, I have literally made it places with my foot dragging the ground underneath the car to stop, okay? I'm just saying. Like, I will drive things that shouldn't be on the road. But we can't make that decision for the client. They have to make that decision.
And the uphill battle we still fight as shop owners is the vast majority of the general public that brings you their vehicle still is in this mindset that I don't want to go there because they're going to give me a list.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to stick it in me.
Yeah.
And
I mean, David might really do that. So, I would be careful,
So
I don't even call them. I don't even call these people. I send them a link.
I just said you might try and stick it in them. So, you're disgusting. I will agree with that, but in my shop, we've slowly turned the tides on that.
Sure.
And we're to the point that people come to us because we give them a list.
And that's what I was going to say. It's the sole responsibility of the reputable shop owner, like a lot of us are, to start changing the community around us and the environment, and it'll be a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you start talking to your other shop owners in the area.
Yeah.
We have to change that persona and that perspective.
Yeah.
All the time.
And it's got to be internal and external. Absolutely. It's got to be client facing. It's got to be employee facing. It's got to be the whole industry, right? We have to fix both. And, I got into a bit of a disagreement in the YouTube comments a while back because we were talking about that exact subject. And the guy was saying, I can't remember what we were talking about. It may have been what we were charging or inspecting the car. I can't remember what it was. But his point kept coming back to is no, it's pay. It's pay. It's pay. And I'm like, no, it's not pay. Pay is the symptom of the problem. The problem really comes back to what we've done to our industry over the past 40 years.
Yeah.
Right? Because the consumer doesn't value what we do. Right? And now you look at these cars with ADAS on them that need a calibration, and you tell that consumer, hey, it's $400 to do an alignment on your car. And you watch them like just
jaw drop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Freak out. Well, we built that. We designed the system that led them to that, right? And so now we have to do something different to get them to where they need to be.
Yeah.
I had a vehicle come in. It was a fleet vehicle. 240,000 miles, a 2021 Traverse. So they drive the crap out of this vehicle. And it had a radiator leak. So we call into the fleet management company, the company that deals with payments and all that stuff. We tell them, hey, it's going to be like 4.5 hours to do the radiator replacement. Here's the radiator cost, coolant. And, hey, it's going to be another like 2.5 hours to do the 2 ADAS calibrations. And they're like, well, ADAS calibrations? What are you talking about? This car has 240,000 miles now. 240,000 miles.
Never been touched.
And we go, yeah, we're taking the front bumper. That's one calibration. And we're taking the grill off. That's another calibration. 2 calibrations. 2 separate systems. 2 charges. We've never paid for an ADAS calibration on that vehicle. 240,000 miles.
That's scary.
Really? Huh. So every single time this component is touched, it needs to be recalibrated. They have all data. That's the crazy thing. The fleet company buys all data so they can look up and compare the times and stuff like that and the R&R procedures with us. And so my shop manager, he's like, hey, it's line number 7 right here on the R&R procedure. And here's the ADAS calibration quick reference guide. Front bumper requires the radar. I think the front camera on the grill and then the radar on the bumper, something like that. Yeah.
How'd they respond?
I don't know. He hasn't gotten back to me. I think they were like, well, I got to talk to my manager, blah, blah, blah. They were going to call us back. Meanwhile, the guy who actually needs the vehicle is calling us every day going, hey, did we get approval? Can we get the car back? What's going on? So they haven't approved it yet, man.
Oh, my God.
But they're bringing us more and more. We're doing maybe 5% of their total They're keeping us like they're filling the gaps. This one fleet company, they're taking 95% of the vehicles to this other shop, and I don't think this other shop has ever mentioned ADAS calibrations once. And they've got Yukons, Traverses, freaking
So I assume the other
Durangos.
shop doesn't have the equipment.
They don't have the equipment. They're not even checking, and it's not like there's you open the page, put the VIN in there, and on the top right-hand corner it says ADAS quick reference. So you just look and see on there. It's like, am I touching anything? It's like 5 items. Because sometimes it's steering alignment requires blind spot calibration. So you just do really quick. Am I going to touch anything that's going to require anything ADAS calibration? Just check. That's all you have to do. Yeah. And then farm it out.
Are you checking to make sure?
He is going to.
He nodded yes.
He's thinking about adding alignment.
Yeah.
Later this year.
Yeah, I want to get an alignment rack this summer.
Now, I will tell you, I went a very different route on ADAS, right? And what did you end up doing?
We haven't yet.
Have you not? Okay, so let me tell you about
the ones that need it and we can't do it. We don't touch them.
Okay, so let me tell you about this thing that we did. Goofball over here goes and spends $40,000 outright, right? I ended up talking to Scott Hicks and Hawken from Top Don. And I was like, I really don't want to go invest that because like I saw what happened to him. And so what I ended up doing is they said, hey, why would you do that? Just buy this base package. And it's probably going to have a lot of what you need anyway. And buy that and then just buy the targets so you have a customized set based on your work mix, right? Dude, I'm telling you. Because like we know when the cars are coming in and we typically know what the services are that we need. I can have targets next day. I've not really spent a lot of money on targets. I think I've got like $9,000 in this deal at this point.
What is it?
It's the Top Don, like their basic set.
Okay.
The reason why I didn't want to go with the Top Don was at the time, I don't know if they still do it, but they weren't using OE targets. They were using like extrapolation targets. Okay. So the sensor would read the target, extrapolate the information off of the target. They weren't designed to OE specs. They weren't the OE targets. Where the Snap-on unit were the OE targets. And so they were using on the back end software to then understand the position of the vehicle versus actually doing what the OE required. It was like OE level software, OE level calibration.
I think we're going to have Hawken on to talk about that.
Well, I'm sure they changed it now. I don't know. That was the big like, ooh. You got to remember, I bought my machine like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It's been a minute. So like, have things changed? Yeah, like the Autel IA900 or whatever they have now. That thing, I mean, if I had to do it again, I would jump all over the Autel. I love my Autel scanners. I love the crap out of my Autel scanners. They're fast, super easy to navigate, and if the calibration doodad is just like the scanners, I'm all over it.
I'm in between. Like the Top Don tools are pretty slick. Right?
I hate my Top Don.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, but you just said you had a dongle issue.
issue.
That's what had you upset about it.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I've got like 10-year-old Autel. The stupid thing still works.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of Autels, a bunch of Top Dons. I don't think we have many Snap-on tools left.
The Top Don's slow too.
My Top Don's not. We've got a Phoenix, and
I bought a brand new scan tool. I'm not going to say who it is. You need to talk to them. You know them. You're friendly with them. It's brand new. Like I was on the pre-purchase list. I paid the money so I could get on the list to buy it first. And the minute it got released, the minute they were shipping them out, I got a phone call and hey, it's $5,000. And I said, okay, here's my credit card. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And like a couple weeks later, it shows up. And I thought I got this because the company has an incredible reputation for being legit AF with their scanners. And it is the slowest, buggiest piece of crap we have ever bought.
Oh, no.
It is so slow. In fact, my tech likes to play a video while it scans it because I'm like, hey, I spent money on this goddamn thing. Use it. Use the stupid scanner.
Does it do remote programming?
It does do remote programming. Yeah.
But if it's what I think it is, that's all it's used for.
No. It was supposed to be a full-blown scanner with
well, I know,
all
but
of the
I'm
functionality. No,
that we
they
don't
would-
use it for that. If it's what I think it is, we don't use it for that. All it does is support on demand for things that we don't want to go buy a stupid subscription for.
Well, I bought it for that too, because if we run into the Land Rover, Jaguar, it's something stupid that I don't want to be messing with the OE software or anything like that. I want to just use the pass through. I bought it for that too. But it was supposed to be like, hey, it's everything you love about this other scanner, but faster and more functionality. And then when I talked to the guy, I'm like, hey, I just want to make sure that this is going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, oh yeah, that's what we're known for. And it's going to be able to do this and that. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Cool. Send it. And it was like shaking trying to scan a Ford. It was like,
Is it the one that had the pre-sale registration floating around
no,
on Facebook a few months ago?
Hey. Let's not go down this rabbit hole here where we expose who it is. All I'm saying is I'm going to give them a little time to send like 50 updates to maybe fix whatever the hell's going on. At one point, it bricked. It was doing a Ford. We ran into an issue. Where whenever you tried to it was a power steering control module, okay, on a Ford.
Yeah.
And it would accept as-built data, so it would work, right? It would come online and it would work. I do any of this as-built. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
We'll get him there.
Baby steps. Yeah, don't spend a bunch of money. You don't spend a bunch of money.
No, not right
Baby
now.
steps. Yeah, get the 300% roll down. Then you'll have lots of money, and then still don't spend it on just as needed. Anyway,
Don't do what we did.
yeah, don't do what we did. Don't. But they're shiny toys, and you're like, I want that. Anyway, so it would accept as-built data. It would not program. Wouldn't program. And so we had the OE doodad. Wouldn't program. And I'm like, what if the OE doodad isn't doing it? There's something wrong with the truck. There's something wrong with the can lines. There's like we have the OE doodad. This isn't like a flash box. This IDS. It wouldn't work. And I'm like, well, I've got this thing. Hook up to it and see what the guy on the other line says. Well, the other guy, he hooks up to it, and then it crashes. And then he blames my Wi-Fi. Now I've got Google Fiber with Ubiquity. This thing is stupid fast with all of the connection anywhere in the shop all the time, 100% of the time. But I said, okay, well, just run a cable to the box. Still didn't work. He's like, okay, well, maybe it's not the Wi-Fi because I've got a hard cable to the box. Well, maybe it's not that. So they tried. They called back a couple days later. They hook up to it, and then it's like crashes. The box crashes, breaks the PCS. So I pony up another $1,800 to buy another OE.
They're supposed to pay for that.
Doodad. I sent it back and I said, I don't know what's wrong with this module, but it's bad. Give me my money back. Anyway.
That's one way to do it.
I did that.
I can't wait for Dutch to hear that part.
Here's the thing. I never send anything back. I don't.
Okay.
Like warranty or whatever. I never file labor claims. If it is, it's really rare that I get faulty parts. It really is. I don't get faulty parts. I just usually misboxed or something like that. So, and I do that, and I don't feel bad when I send something back because, hey, you need to spot me one.
Yeah.
I haven't been screwing you guys over. You need to spot me one. Anyway, I sent that sucker back. I wasn't eating the $1,800. So we put another one in, and we didn't try that box again. He ended up fixing it. You know what it was?
What?
It needed a new battery.
That's an elite tech for you right there.
Yeah. So the battery did test. It tested good low charge, but he had the flash box hooked up to it, and he thought the flash box should handle it. Right.
Hey,
the flash box does not handle it. You have to have the battery has to be the tits, otherwise it will not program. Will not program.
Have you seen that? So when I bought all the Top Don stuff, I also bought like
a Tornado 9000 or whatever.
Well, like when they went to the they were going to like the auto glass show or something like that. So they were selling stuff on a deal because it was like nearby where the shop was, and it was cheaper to ship it. Like if I wanted it, I could, because I'd been talking to them saying, hey, I want to buy some equipment. They said, hey, we also have this battery charger or this maintainer. Holy
The
cow.
Tornado?
I guess that's what it's called.
Is it a big giant box there with the
it's
cables?
Like a box like this, right? And it's got this huge cable that hooks to the back of it. That thing is legit.
So my tech, he wanted to see how stable the voltage levels were, because when you're doing flashing, you want like flat, even voltage going into the car. You don't want. We test the Snap-on unit, the $18 billion little cart thing.
Yeah,
and it's like
awful.
It's like it's all over the place. He does this the Top Don, which was like a third of the price. And he's like, that is the stablest, like flattest voltage I've ever seen coming out of a charger.
I've got that same Snap-on charger. You know, it almost burnt the shop down once. And it was going to be this horrific deal. So the night
The new shop or the old shop?
The old shop.
That would have been bad.
The technician put a battery on the charger. And we have a rule that you don't have lithium batteries on the charger overnight. You don't have anything.
Overnight. Yeah.
Well, he had turned the power off on the charger. Now, we had a weird thing happen with 2 or 3 cars, and the technician kept telling me that when he hooked that battery charger up, that it would arc, even though the battery charger was off. If the battery charger was plugged up, it would arc, or if you had just unplugged it.
He didn't unplug it off of the wall, did he?
It would arc. And so here's what we found out is the battery charger was operating. The fans weren't running or nothing was happening, but it was putting out 16 volts, even though it was turned off. Good. And so I come into the shop one morning and I open the door, and Jacob's standing behind me, and he's a smoker. He's getting ready to light a cigarette. And when I open the door, there's like this layer of white gas across the bottom of the floor of the shop. I said, hold up just a minute. Don't light that yet. And it was hydrogen, dude. It was like it had boiled that battery out, and it had just sit there and boiled all night into the floor of the shop. And the battery charger was off. It wasn't the tech's fault. The battery charger was off. He should have unplugged it. But that battery charger is known to do that. So be careful with that. The Rolly one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the newest version of the Rolly one because the old version of the Rolly one blew up.
Yeah, dude, those things have been junk.
Yeah, Nathan sent me on one mission down here. He's like, go to the expo and find us a good maintainer.
Yeah.
So
the Top Don, dude.
The
Top Don is ridiculous.
Yeah. Right.
For the price, holy moly. 9 out of 9. 9 out of 10. Would buy again. The Schumacher, I think the one that Seth Thorson slaps on the side of all his lifts, I think that's probably the gold standard.
Yeah,
but it's also like $2,500.
Did you hear that? So when I interviewed the dude, we didn't talk technical, but then Jeff talked technical with him, and he said that they were like having to decrease the quality to maintain their competitive edge at Schumacher. And I'm like, all right, man. Like they're going from metal to all plastic on their cases and stuff.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
cost cutting.
Cost cutting, it is what it is. All right.
All right. We're going to see you here next year. We're going to review next year. We're going to talk.
He's going to have 2 boats.
Yep.
Yeah.
He probably has a boat. You're from.
They might be John.
How many boats do you have already?
2.
Yeah, I'd say I knew it.
One of them's got a hole in the floor.
No, that's for you. The country boys, man. They always have boats.
Good deal. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.